This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tiberium Resistance and spawning as the Cyan Steel Talons in the north. We do indeed have kiMOsaBE in the middle of the northern team as the Purple Traveler 59. It is iLovemilfs. Well, I'll probably be calling Love Boat just because the name is a little bit weird, but in the right side as the pink Zocom, it is Green Zero, and in the south, making up the first player of our team. Actually, it looks like we got ourselves a bit of a descent rush from our Traveler 59 player. Anyways, as the orange black hand, we do have Incapiza, and over across the mountains, we do have Phoenix, a.k.a. Steve Nash, number 13. He is yellow, marked of Kane. And on the right side, rounding out our nod team in the south, we have the Crane for our green DeathSentence. His MCV looks like it's over here. He's going to be expanding relatively quickly to this field, which is pretty much always a good idea. Now, of course, I am back from holiday. We did have Christmas and all that fun stuff. I was uploading some content that I had casted before the fact, some videos that I had sitting on my hard drive that I had processed away, that sort of thing. So anyways, I'm back. This is the first video that I will be doing post coming back from holiday. So it's not necessarily going to be the first video uploaded, but it will be the first video that I'm recording live post-holiday. So, going to be getting back into things. Of course, we've got lots of action coming up all across the Command & Conquer universe, regardless of whether Kane's Wrath is your favorite game to watch or not. All sorts of tournament action coming up. In particular, Bike Rush is actually going to be running, for those of you who care about Kane's Wrath a lot, Bike Rush is going to be running his own tournament on his own website, so we'll see how that goes. But we do have the descents coming in from Love Boat, going to be chasing away that Harvester, but unfortunately he did lose sight of it, and it looks like that Harvester may actually be able to escape. Interestingly enough, I guess Viceroids can actually just see right through stealth. They can target things that are stealth, which is a little bit annoying there for DeathSentence. He's not going to be too happy about that. Phoenix just looks like he's macroing up pretty hard. The Crane gets taken out pretty quickly. I don't know if the Tib silos are exactly what you want to be doing, since you really just capture those so you can get the credit boost from the Tib spikes. But yeah, other than that, I don't know that there's really any point to killing off the Tib silos. I feel like there's some better targets he could be going for. Phoenix not going to be moving his MCV. Actually, he's moving his MCV already to this expansion. Incapiza, however, not going to be moving his MCV. It looks like a beacon on the left side. Ooh, and there's a double flame Reckoner rush. There's some nice refineries which could be targeted down. No, it looks like he may just be going for the Tib spikes, which is an idea. I mean, that is something that you can go for. A couple of militant squads. Actually, I don't know if that'll be enough. There's still... it's going to be relatively close. So with that one marked of Kane squad, not that he's going to be doing too much in the south there. But unfortunately, kiMOsaBE is probably going to be losing his EMP control center. Hopefully for Incapiza, he'll be able to clean up at least one or both of those Tib spikes. Potentially we'll be able to clean all four of them up if kiMOsaBE just lets him have his way. Those descents are actually not very effective. Oh, that buggy. They might not even get this one Tiberium spike, which is a little bit unfortunate for Love Boat. He's going to be sad about that. But, ooh, we do have a Titan coming in. Incapiza going to be ejecting on out of there. Unfortunately, stands in the way of the Titan anyway, so he loses pretty much that entire Black Hand squad for basically no reason, which is a little bit unfortunate for him. I guess kiMOsaBE is kind of the worst player to Flame Rush in this game. Probably would have been better to Flame Rush over here, or maybe Green Zero's base. As Green Zero taking up to that Tier 2, he's got his expansion rolling down here in the south. Phoenix kind of doing the same thing. And, of course, Black Hand, Nod, and Marked of Kane in the south. Steel Talons and Zocom in the north with that Traveler 59. So a nice split of factions, considering it was all random. It's not like a six-way Black Hand random mirror, which would be pretty crazy. All things considered, just the statistics on that would be pretty ridiculous. Couple of Black Hand squads, but yeah, only one Tib spike. I guess the EMP control center is nice, especially if there's going to be a big air focus by our Southern Nod team, which most likely will not end up happening. DeathSentence looks like he's packing up his own Reckoner. Definitely not a Reckoner rush, not at this point, as he's got that expansion. And oh, we do have a double portal descent just follow-up, kind of the equivalent of man spam for our Scrin player. One Harvester needs to get back to work. A little bit unfortunate there for Love Boat. He's going to be a little bit sad about that. kiMOsaBE going to be taking a little bit of damage here. It looks like, ooh, potentially a couple of these Harvesters could be going down. Ooh, no. Wow, did no Harvesters go down there? It's hard to tell since two of them are low on HP, but potentially no actual casualties there for our Steel Talons player, kiMOsaBE. Love Boat heading through the middle of the map. By the way, bird is the word. That's Phoenix. So if you see that guy placing beacons or anything like that, that's who's doing that. Oh, looks like someone actually spotted this over here. someone's going to be calling out that Reckoner taking so much damage just from the Harvesters. AP Ammo finishing up for Green Zero. He's going to have to deal with this Reckoner. Potentially the War Factory could go down, or the refineries as well. Stealth Field gets dropped by both of the Nod players, and Ion Storm is going to be pulling up in just under 50 seconds. Down there, oh, that is not an opportune place for that Reckoner. It can attack exactly 0 things, and Green Zero is just going to be shredding it for now. kiMOsaBE rolling in with a Pitbull, going to be getting a little bit of a scout off, not going to be doing a huge amount of damage, I would imagine. And it looks like DeathSentence's his Reckoner just really did about nothing. We do have the Tech Lab there, and Incapiza, I guess, just has a buggy sitting there? That's kind of weird. I'm pretty sure that's Incapiza's buggy. Phoenix, who was the one who actually got that Marv? Or wait, it was a Marv. It wasn't a Reckoner. I'm looking at the wrong side. It's Green Zero's Marv as it pops out right there. And, of course, as Zocom, he's got a little bit more limited options. For a second, I was going to suggest that he goes for railguns, and then I remembered he's Zocom, so fortunately I didn't mess that one up, as sometimes I do forget about all of the sub-factions that players are playing in the middle of a game. Titans need to back up a little bit here. The man spam from Incapiza is going to be enough to deal with that, and here comes the Ion Storm firing down a couple of shots. I don't know that Ion Storms, I don't think they really do too much damage, so I don't know that it's all that much to worry about. Wolverines, ooh, they're pulling up a little bit late to this party. 1, 2, and number 3 Titans going down. A 4th one could be getting eliminated as well, and potentially this Ion Storm might hit something that we'll see, but for now it doesn't look like it's doing all that much. For a second, I just thought I heard my phone ringing off, but no, it was not. Instead, it's just going to be that Ion Storm calling all sorts of things down. I'm guessing that's just a little bit of Tib damage calling in from something. Descent's going to be rushing in, while man spam on the left side for Incapiza going to be holding the lines at least a little bit here against the base push that's coming in from our Steel Talons player. kiMOsaBE is going to be able to push down Incapiza and get past Phoenix's and Incapiza's combined base defenses. Phoenix with that obelisk on the front lines. The MCV going to be redeploying there. And Mackie Bob, that is indeed kiMOsaBE, so if you see that name as down there, just keep that in mind. EMP firing off somewhere on the map, locking down the Marv. I think it's a little bit out of range of any of the units that can attack here, and unfortunately for DeathSentence, he doesn't have a whole lot of units there to DPS down that Marv. Instead, he's just going to be just kind of letting it sit there and wear off that EMP. Another Reckoner going to be coming in for DeathSentence. It hasn't deployed or killed anything off as far as I can tell, so he may be looking for a little bit more high-value targets than the targets that are out green fields that have already been completely harvested. So there's actually going to be a pretty nice spot for that Reckoner, going for the tier 3 pretty much immediately, but that will take a little bit of time to flame down with that laser fencing especially, and it looks like DeathSentence is going to be rolling up with his own Redeemer. Should be able to hold the line, although potentially not against the combined forces. Of course, that Marv can tank quite a bit of damage, although he does have a couple of allies that he can call on. Inca and Phoenix potentially could be coming to DeathSentence's rescue if he has to fight the Marv and potentially the other forces of his opponents. There's going to be the Ion Cannon getting thrown down, which, of course, in team games is definitely a lot more realistic to see it actually fire off than in a 1v1, which doesn't happen nearly as much. Mechapede transition has indeed happened for Loveboat. He's going to be pushing on down. Phoenix really going for those obelisks, potentially going to be selling them off just to fuel his next move, depending on what that is going to be. Doesn't necessarily need all of the base defenses when he's pushing forward, and when Incapiza and him have a pretty nice stationary force there sitting outside of their base. Double obelisk getting dropped down, at least 2 MCVs out on the field for Phoenix, and even the Venom's going to be rocking up from DeathSentence just to do what they can. As you can see, we've got a couple of more Mechapedes going to be coming on out, but more and more Descents as well. Potentially some Prodigy action will be happening for Loveboat, but Reckoner is actually going to be trapping these Mechapedes a little bit here. Rage Gen does fire off just to prevent any sort of real micro from happening or any real retreating from happening, as that is going to be kind of delaying the retreat of these Mechapedes. One of them may actually be able to escape here. Nope, it does end up going down, which is a little bit unfortunate there for Loveboat. A couple of Scorpion tanks going to be going after one of Green Zero's harvesters. Of course, he would like to have that blue Tib. And kiMOsaBE on the left side of the map, he's actually got himself a fair number of Titans, a fair number of Wolverines mixed in as well. I'm not sure if he's actually tier 3. Just started it right now, which means he could be going for those railguns now, most likely going to be the upgrade that he is researching, since he doesn't have a whole lot of other units which would benefit from late game upgrades at this point. Although he could be going for the adaptive armor upgrade, just to prevent any EMPs from really doing too much damage to his units. Another Redeemer pops out on the map, and it looks like it's not going to be DeathSentence or Phoenix, so I guess it's going to be Incapaisa's Redeemer, which should bring about 5 out of 6, I think. I think that's 5 out of 6 epic units out on the field. A couple of rifleman squads going to be taking a little bit of damage there. And Shockwave Artillery locking down the green Reckoner, which will be preventing DeathSentence potentially from escaping, although there isn't a huge amount of DPS here for Green Zero. The Mechapedes aren't really helping out on the action. Of course, that Rage Gen going to be preventing them from really being very useful in this game, while on the left side, kiMOsaBE looks like cleans up that Viceroy, and now he's going to be moving into the main base, or what was the main base of Incapiza. Incapiza moving forward, Reckoner, and on top, or Redeemer, excuse me, and on top of that, he's got his infantry army. Ooh, 2, and the, wow, this is just mass EMP that locked absolutely everything down here. There goes the Reckoner, going to be Redeemer, excuse me, going to be getting locked down there. And on top of that, the mine drop directly on top of the Eradicator Hexpod, or directly on top of Green Zero's Marv as he pulls it back there. And I don't think kiMOsaBE, I think he's the only player without a epic unit out on the map, but he also, there's no real answer, although Incapiza going to be dropping down dual obelisks. That's the best thing he's got to answer for this. Vertigo's going to be coming out onto the map. It looks like 6 in total, potentially even 7. No, it's just 6 for now, which will do some pretty massive damage to the Marv. That might actually be enough to kill the Marv, given the low health situation that it's in. And one more is going to be very close. Indeed, it does. Whoa, whoa. iLovemilfs teleporting back that Marv to save it by the skin of his teeth. That was very close for Green Zero right there. It just teleports away, and not something you see very often. Tib Vein Detonation going to be doing a little bit of damage there. Potentially, here comes the big move. Nope, no Bike Buggy coming in to finish off those Harvesters, which means they potentially will be able to escape. We do have Phoenix moving in. His Redeemer is going to be doing some damage, but the repairs are happening, and kiMOsaBE, it looks like, has been stopped in the south. He's been forced to reroute. He's brought in some Hammerheads as well to help him deal with these forces. SAM turrets getting deployed, but that won't deal with the Wolverine or the Titan, which are currently there. I'm not exactly sure what all of the battle markers are in the north. It is indeed going to be the stealth tanks in the middle. It's the Eradicator Hexpod taking a bit of damage from that infantry army, and actually stealth tanks are a fantastic choice by DeathSentence in this game, especially with that Tib core missile upgrade, and there is going to be a Tib catalyst missile detonating on something. I guess it's going to be on the northern team somewhere, but this is a massive amount of zone heads coming out for Green Zero. He's going to be able to completely ransack the main base of DeathSentence, completely eliminating the power and the ability for DeathSentence to really produce things normally, cleaning up both of the air towers, eliminating any chance of Venoms being produced, which would be a good way to deal with these with the Hammerheads. Maybe not a good way, since the Zone Raiders do indeed have rockets on top of them. One Zone Raider does go down. The Venom's going to be taking a bit of damage there. As you can see, DeathSentence, and I guess that's Phoenix, since he could be the only one who has them, is going to be rolling up there just to do a little bit more damage, but Green Zero doing a good job of keeping those units alive. Incapiza in the middle of the map, not really going to be doing anything. I guess then Orbital Bombardment is about to be coming down here, or just about finished, as that laser was, maybe the animation was a little bit bugged there. DeathSentence staying active in the north. He's got himself some nice stealth tanks rolling around. I'm not sure if they've ranked up or anything. No, and it looks like the Mechapede is going to be getting some shots off, cleans up one of them, but goodbye Mechapede. That does indeed get cleaned up, and Mackie Bob throwing down about 1.5 million beacons there, saying, hey guys, just clean this up. I guess that was his scan that got thrown down. Another Hammerhead does go down, or another Zone Raider Hammerhead, which just produces just adds so much cost to them. And here come the Pitbulls firing up a little bit here, doing a little bit of damage with their mortars. And kiMOsaBE, is he actually going to be able to clean up any more of these stealth tanks? Actually, the Hero Harvesters from Green Zero, those Rocket Harvesters, actually getting themselves a little bit of a kill there, as there's like 4 Rocket Harvesters, so they've actually got reasonable damage output versus the paper armor of stealth tanks. And over here on the right side, it looks like, I guess Phoenix is just saying, hey, there's Tiberium over here if you want to harvest it, or something like that. Hammerhead's moving out once again, and just as we're passing the 1.25 minute mark for that ion cannon control. And no real easy way for either team to break the other one. They've harvested a huge amount of Tiberium. The beacon going to be kind of throwing off the hint that, hey, you better laser lock this building in case anything is coming in to take it down. And, of course, Green Zero going to be just waiting for the Orcas to come in and do a little bit of damage there. And, ooh, Shockwave Artillery potentially going to be killing off quite a few of these infantry. No, the RNG is not going to be all that good. It's all right, but it's not fantastic, as well as whoever fired that off would have liked. The EMP, ooh, does actually miss basically everything. It didn't hit the Eradicator Hexpod. It didn't hit neither the Hammerheads, which were more likely the target, as There's the nuclear missile from Phoenix going to be getting deployed there. Vertigo bombers coming in, absolutely destroying, just with maximum efficiency, that Eradicator Hexapod, which eradicated absolutely nothing in this game. More stealth tanks. Maybe the time for stealth tanks is over. They were a lot better earlier in the game before Mackie Bob, a.k.a. kiMOsaBE, had like 20,000 pit bulls to go ahead and deal with them. And oh, actually, a couple more on this side are going to be getting hunted down, though. Unfortunately for DeathSentence, he's not going to be able to do all that much with them. Mammoth tanks in the middle with the behemoths getting pushed back. kiMOsaBE is not going to be able to do a lot of damage in that respect. Venoms from DeathSentence also getting pushed back, which, by the way, did... oh, he does, yeah. So he's got the supercharged particle beams, which is good for Phoenix. He wants to make sure that he's got that. Not actually sure what that... Ooh! I wasn't actually sure why he was just targeting that one refinery. He's not going to be able to get it. Goodbye, stealth tank, but it looks like there was potentially a mine drop, or more likely a Tib vapor bomb. Oh, man. There's that ion cannon firing off. Cleans up something that was by the tech lab. But looks like another Vertigo bomber strike coming in here. The Marv taking some pretty serious damage. Not quite enough to finish it off, although the other Marv was much closer to that low health, which actually that may be the same exact Marv. But Venom's now going to be coming in, and Green Zero going to be protecting his Marv with the Pitbull, rolling on up. Stealth tank, maybe not the best unit to send singularly against that Marv. And DeathSentence, he's going to be taking some pretty serious damage here, which is a bit unfortunate for him. He could be just completely losing out in this game. We'll have to see if he's able to do anything. There's the Tib Vein detonation, which this might be enough with the Vertigos coming in here. It looks like there is definitely enough Vertigos. That Marv is going down, absolutely annihilated here. Planetary Assault Carrier showing up from Love Boat. He's going to be able to rock the skies with the Ion Storm of his own. He doesn't care what this timer says. He's like, hey, I'm going to be having my own Ion Storms with my Planetary Assault Carriers, and the SAM-Strike going to be getting some nice shots off on the Planetary Assault Carrier packs. Not necessarily a unit that we see very often due to their Tier 4 nature and their very expensive price tag. I mean, that's like 16 grand of Planetary Assault Carriers right there. Packing in Devastator warships, definitely a good idea for Love Boat. Goodbye Orca Strike, as that entire thing did get eliminated. I'm not actually sure what that supersonic airstrike, where exactly it was. It looked like it may have hit a couple of those Vertigo bombers, but lots of Venoms are indeed here. I'm assuming those are Phoenix's Venoms, as I do believe they are. Yep, they've got themselves some supercharged particle beams as Firehawks coming in, clearing the skies, and just a huge amount of decimation and destruction happening for all players in this engagement. Devastator warship does end up going down. A huge amount of SAM turrets coming down. Looks like pretty much everyone does have that Tib core missile upgrade already purchased. There's the EMP. There's the teleport away, as the Eradicator Hexapod is most likely going to be able to escape, and Shockwave Artillery also firing down, locking down that Redeemer, looking like it took a little bit of damage from that Ion Storm as well. While in the north, we've got the Harvester just potentially taking a little bit of damage there from, I guess, just an Ion Storm. That is what all of the battle markers on the map exploding are. It's not actually necessarily action happening in all of those spots. It's most likely just going to be that Ion Storm. Orbital bombardment firing down, going to be locking down quite a bit of this infantry phase field, potentially going to be able to save this Eradicator Hexapod, as just an insane amount of DPS is coming down on it from Vertigo bombers to the man spam, and it looks like Incapiza firing off a Rage Gen as well. This Eradicator Hexapod most likely will be able to escape. Green Zero going to be making sure of that, helping his buddy to get on out of there. DeathSentence has definitely been saved in this game, and battle markers just exploding everywhere. It's trying to determine which of them are the Ion Storm, which of them are actually interesting engagements. And this Redeemer may have actually overstepped his bounds. He has got some serious DPS to contend with, although the Vertigo Bomber potentially will be able to do a little bit of damage. They do have a tail gun on the side, on the back of them, and where's he actually going? He's teleporting away. Goodbye, Eradicator Hexapod, most likely going to safety. And ooh, that Devastator warship was way out of position. Not actually sure what that was. Most likely just a little bit of a bad rally point, as it looks like Phoenix or Incapiza losing a war factory there. And goodbye once again the teleportation of that Eradicator Hexapod, as kiMOsaBE clearing the back end of the map. He is the one with the counterattacks. He is the one with the plays that you do not necessarily see coming. Will the nuke actually count down all the way? My guess is about no, as since he's actually going to be going for that Tib chemical plant. And charged particle beams may be enough to break this Pitbull force, and it looks like kiMOsaBE is not actually going to be going for that Hand of Nod, or for the Temple of Nod, which I can definitely agree with considering how many base defenses are here, and he doesn't exactly have units that are particularly great at killing off those buildings and those heavier structures which have a bit more armor. Orchestra going to be coming in and doing a little bit of damage, but Phoenix has just under 2 minutes to wait until his nuclear missile is indeed ready. DeathSentence has been able to rebuild a considerable amount. He's got himself a Redeemer, I do believe. No, it looks like that's Phoenix and Incapiza. DeathSentence most likely going to be producing his right there, and his Vertigo bombers are going to be out on the map. Well, the Redeemer's somewhere out on the map. Well, at least we found it, and Pitbull's going to be escaping for kiMOsaBE. Most likely not going to be able to do too much more with them until these base defenses get sold off, although it looks like the majority of the Shredder turrets have been sold off. Some of them do still stand. And oh, that poor growth accelerator, iLovemilfs, not going to be able to do anything with that. Not really going to be able to benefit from that too much more. I have no idea what that was, but it's an APC engineer over here, and that does indeed bear the sign of Green Zero, as he does have a little bit of an APC engineer. No, I guess it couldn't be Green Zero. I don't actually, what? He should have an M. Well, no, he's not Steel Talons. For some reason, I was thinking he was Steel Talons and that kiMOsaBE was Zocom, but no, it's the other way around, as that's why it's not an MRT. But in the middle of the map, we do have the Marv going to be heading in here, and it looks like Phoenix finally going to be using those EMPs from the Awakened squads, repeatedly locking down the Marv, and Vertigo bombers coming in just to seal the deal. And really only in these team games is where you see how effective those Vertigo bombers can be at just locking down those big value targets. Where's Green Zero actually going with this APC? Hopefully he has it on hold fire stance so it doesn't give away its position by attacking some of these aircraft. And no, it's not actually going to be doing anything. It gets locked down by a spawning Venom, which was most likely a mistake more than anything. On the left side, it's just a Visceroid going to be getting shot up by those Shredder turrets. Love Boat is going to be just pulling that Prodigy around, keeping it with the Eradicator Hexpod. Not sure if he's really going to be able to do too much more with it. There's a ton of base defenses, which are going to be making a lot of individual hero unit plays quite difficult. Orbital Bombardment cleaning up a couple of Venoms, it looks like mostly there, and I guess the air tower as well did also get eliminated, which I guess if you can take out the air tower while there's a couple of Vertigo bombers on it, you can be doing some pretty good damage. 3 Mantises right on the front down from Incapiza, going to be protecting this base. We've got the Rift Generator going to be calling down in just under 6.5 minutes. The kiMOsaBE Ion Cannon over here on the left side, while in the middle of the map, we should have somewhere going to be firing off that Ion Cannon. I'm not exactly sure where Green Zero is going to be hitting at. Potentially the spot of all 3 of these Redeemers. I don't know if he realizes that all 3 of them are there, since potentially he can't see a couple of them. And where is he going to fire it off? We have ourselves a fake nuclear missile. One of them's real, one of them's fake. I don't know exactly which is which, but where is Green Zero going to be firing off that ion control? Potentially, he's going to be looking for a nice, juicy target. He probably wants to send out a scout or two, try to use a scan, or potentially chat with kiMOsaBE so they can coordinate scans and find a really high-value target to hit with the Ion Cannon. Of course, Rift Generator from iLovemilfs is going to be potentially really powerful if he can find an army just to rock with it and just to clean up. There's going to be the Ion Cannon cleaning up some structures for Green Zero. And I kind of wish these were ordered in the order of when they were going to go off versus the order that they were built. But it looks like next is going to be Mackie Bob with his ion control, going to be firing that off. And SAM turrets do have a notoriously bad job of dealing with anything on the ground. That is a fair amount of tripods, but also we do have ourselves a fresh Eradicator Hexpod going to be popping on out. And look at that, even DeathSentences, which I guess this is a real Temple of Nod, it could be coming under fire, although we'll see exactly what kiMOsaBE decides to attack with his Pitbulls. I don't know if he's really going to be able to do too much with them. Air Tower, a great target there, as that is a fully heroic Pitbull. It just got annihilated there as it gets completely wrecked by those base defenses and the few units that are there. Stealth turrets coming in, stealth tanks rather coming in as well. And Green Zero, he's taking a page out of the kiMOsaBE book in this particular game. He's hunting around with Pitbulls. Hey, they're cheap, they're fast, and you can hit these cheap, kind of paper-thin nod buildings, clean them up relatively quickly. Air towers, and, well, they just have a very little HP and armor in general, but RNG is pretty good at locking down one of those air towers. Fortunately, the units are able to pull out of there and get away, but that air tower could be getting targeted down by Green Zero. He's potentially going to be able to roll over this one as well. Stealth tanks pulling up for Phoenix. He's going to be able to clean up a couple of these units, but the Pitbulls may be able to escape as the stealth tanks are a little bit late to the party. They do reverse move away, and oh, these Awakened squads, if they get some sick EMPs, that would be really nice, but we'll have to see if he's able to do anything with them. More action happening up here. It's potentially just infantry moving through a Tiberium field. All of the Pitbulls do get cleaned up there. The stealth tanks do save this air tower, and the repair is going to be able to bring it back pretty much up to full HP. Vertigo bombers looking for some units to kill. Ooh, they miss, but they do get a couple of Tib crystals, which isn't actually all that good. I mean, it's not like, well, for example, DeathSentence could very well just easily harvest that blue Tiberium for himself. It's not inherently Green Zero's blue Tiberium or anything like that. I think that phase field just completely missed the Eradicator Hexbot as the EMP buggy does lock it down. And on top of that, a couple of Awakened squads going to be making sure that it can't escape anytime soon. Magnetic mines do get deployed, but can the Eradicator Hexbot be whisked away? No, it looks like the answer is no, as there comes more EMPs. Goodbye, Eradicator Hexbot. These Mantises trying to find an opportune angle to engage, and Vertigo is going to be raining down bombs upon this Marv, cleaning it up at least a little bit there. The Tib Vapor Bomb does fire off. A couple of these Hammerheads do get eliminated, and it looks like another Redeemer does go down as a huge amount of Epic units are getting shut down in this game as we're rocking past like the 28-minute mark there, or just about. I guess not quite that long, but this replay was over 4 megabytes in size, which is long enough for me. I have actually no idea how much that translates to in a 3v3 game, but another Tib Vane detonation does fire off. Not doing a huge amount of damage. I mean, it cleans up one behemoth, but the fun fact about that is, of course, Green Zero can just recapture that, or actually, I guess kiMOsaBE could recapture it, or Green Zero could steal it from his friend if he really wanted to. DeathSentence does throw down a beacon, but can this Annihilator Tripod actually get the EMP off? No, he cannot, because he just gets targeted down so quickly. Phoenix here with his Redeemer, and it looks like DeathSentence is going to be able to escape. Of course, some of the supercharged particle beam Venoms are also here to guard against those Hammerheads in the north side of the map. Attack bikes coming in. They've got that Tib Vane, they've got those Tib core missiles just to do that extra bit of damage. And nice cleanup on the Harvesters. Late game, I mean, Harvesters can be very important if your opponent is pretty low on them. You get to the point where it's like you've got 20 Harvesters left over from the mid game, where you've just got so much Tiberium you want to gather as quickly as possible, and then suddenly the late game shows up and you're like, oh, there's no Tiberium left. But if those were the only Harvesters left on the map for Loveboat, then that was actually a pretty big deal. It looks like kiMOsaBE is going to be looking for a target to fire off his ion cannon control, and then the Rift Generator, I think, will be the next one after that. And then our southern team gets the chance to fire off some nukes as well. So we'll have to see exactly where kiMOsaBE is firing off. I don't know where it was. Oh, right there. As I think that was an air tower, potentially with some Vertigo bombers on top of it. Hammerheads are still in pretty good numbers. This Eradicator Hexpod has got himself some shock troopers inside of there, and I'm assuming there's a Prodigy somewhere out on the map. I'm not exactly sure where it is. Looks like the EMP control center may be firing off. Can he get the lockdown? No, he misses all of the Hammerheads, but that Eradicator Hexpod does get locked down a little bit there. There's no real units to shoot it down to do any damage to it. Potentially, if there was, you know, some sort of a special weapon, that was, I think, the most effective teleport I have ever seen, of just like, teleport forward 10 feet. All right, excellent. Now we don't have to travel that 10 feet, and we can hold position over here. Of course, just poking a little bit of fun. Rift Generator from MILF is going to be firing off relatively soon. And of course, the nice thing about the Rift Generator, there's no animation. You don't have to worry about firing it into the future to try and hit units where they're going to be. Instead, you just fire it off, and it pretty much is instantaneous. Opens up some sort of terrible black hole to inflict maximum damage upon your enemies. And kiMOsaBE, he's keeping just a couple of those mammoth tanks there. That one harvester from Death Sentence is going to be showing up just to do a little bit of damage. kiMOsaBE potentially losing one harvester. He probably has too many anyways. I don't know that it's necessarily too big of a deal. It looks like a couple of Venoms getting cleaned up here. A heroic Venom as well. Green Zero just has way too many Zone Raiders inside of those Hammerheads for small numbers of Venoms to actually be effective in this game. Rift Generator is crowning down to 0. They may be waiting for Green Zero's Ion Cannon as well. Now, we'll have to see. I mean, with 30 seconds and a minute left, we'll have to see if the Southern team is going to be coordinating. We've got Phoenix, then Incapiza, and then Death Sentence after that. So this could be coming down to just a lot of super weapons getting fired off. One Behemoth does get eliminated there. Down in the south, I think it's just Ion Cannon Storm firing off. There's a nuke eliminating a lot of infrastructure here for our Scrin player. And looks like all of the tripods were not hit, so I don't know that that's too big of a deal. Rift Generator fired off somewhere, I'm not exactly sure where, and it looks like kiMOsaBE going to be pulling back a lot of his pit bulls, not doing too much more with them. There's the teleport forward. The Eradicator Hexapod going to be transported behind enemy lines as Green Zero has just about 20 seconds left on the Ion control. But goodbye, Eradicator Hexapod. That EMP is just a little bit too effective. And there's the capture of the MCV. Sell off as well. Now, if that was Phoenix, I'm pretty sure he's already got a couple of more MCVs out on the field as well. He's had 2 earlier on in this game for quite a long time. Green Zero going to be calling down. It looks like Shockwave Artillery, or potentially that was kiMOsaBE calling it down, but he also does have the Ion control. Spectre Artillery is out on the map, cleans up one of the mammoth tanks from kiMOsaBE. And it looks like Green Zero may be looking to press his luck at this area. Mine Drop comes in, going to be completely missing the Marv, and actually the splash damage eliminating some of those mines as well. Green Zero may be calling in the Ion Cannon's control strike somewhere in here, as that would be a pretty good target to hit just to kind of pave the way for an upcoming attack. I'm not exactly sure if that's what he's going to be doing, but it looks like Incapiza firing off a nice Ion Cannon of his own, cleaning up mostly just Behemoths, which can be reclaimed, and not necessarily that good of a target either. Spectres do roll forward, but there's not a whole lot for them to shoot, as the Hammerheads are going to be chasing them away, and this EMP from the tripod is not going to be happening. Shockwave Artillery, or it looks like Orbital Bombardment only, is going to be firing off. I thought I heard the Shockwave Artillery, but it looks like it's not going to be firing off here. But super weapons in combined with one click's going to be potentially locking down this entryway. We'll have to see if Green Zero or his allies can make any headway, as Green Zero is the only one here with really units other than Loveboat, who wasn't really able to do too much other than just EMP the Redeemer, but it was the Hammerheads and the Zone Raiders inside of them which actually were able to do the damage. I'm assuming that one, okay, yeah, the Venom does go down. That Mastermind Prodigy is not actually going to be able to take any real damage, and ooh, taking a couple of losses here, hopefully for Green Zero's sake. They wasn't actually the heroic, I don't know if it was a heroic Hammerhead, but there was definitely a heroic Raider squad inside of one of those Hammerheads. I'm not sure if it went down or not. Beacon getting thrown down. That's actually a fair amount of Tiberium to be harvested. I'm not sure why Incapiza is not doing this, and surprisingly at this point, I mean, over 30 minutes into this game, we still have all 6 of our players in this game. A lot of times by the 30-minute mark, at least 1 or 2 of them have dropped out, and it started to roll more in the favor of one side or the other. But in this case, it really hasn't. Venom's going to be coming in here, and enlightened squads as well. There is going to be the supersonic airstrike called down to try to kill off the Venoms. Not quite able to do it there, and on top of that, the Pitbulls did get eliminated. Looks like we got 2.5 minutes or just under for kiMOsaBE counting down on his Ion Cannon. Is he actually going to be able to do anything? Orca Strike coming in on the Tib Chem plant from kiMOsaBE. Not going to be a Zorka Strike, which might have been able enough to finish off that Tib Chem plant. We'll have to see if Green Zero or iLovemilfs is able to call that down. I almost called him iLovemilfs, who is a StarCraft 2 player and not quite the same in any respect. MCV coming forward. Could this be the base push which tilts the game one way or the other? We will have to see. But a couple of Venoms going to be rolling up here. And I'm not actually sure. I guess that's Green Zero's Marv, as I definitely can't be kiMOsaBE's. Has kiMOsaBE even built any epic units in this game? I don't even know if he's built the Marv Reclamator Hub at any point. He's still got his 3 Tiberium spikes, and of course he hasn't had the EMP Control Center, but they of course do have, well, I guess Green Zero will have EMP grenades if he wanted to have them. kiMOsaBE doesn't actually have them. Buzzer Hive going to be getting called down just to make sure that Incapiza isn't able to do anything too crazy with man spam, but Behemoths behind that are going to be providing a huge amount of DPS for kiMOsaBE to assault this base with. And tripods behind that. I'm not sure if the mastermind, or rather the prodigy, is somewhere out on the front lines. We'll have to see, though, as there's the EMP coming down to lock down that Redeemer. Potentially one of these tripods could be brought forward if the EMP is needed, but it's not, because that many behemoths just rock down any unit so quickly. As goodbye Redeemer, and actually goodbye Vertigos. A couple of them are going to be getting eliminated here. Potentially also that Spectre just gets absolutely shredded there, as kiMOsaBE continuing to push forward, but he's taken quite a bit of damage. And on top of that, the Venoms are rolling in here just to do as much damage as they can, cleaning up the husks if they can. This is a lot of tripods, not really going to be dealt with just by a couple of Shredder turrets, and this Temple of Nod could finally be going down, preventing it from firing off any more times. kiMOsaBE, again, he does have that ion cannon control just 15 short seconds away from firing off, and now just 10 as the phase field does roll up here and eliminate some of those. I think those were Fanatics somewhere in there, but no, it looks like it was just Black Hand Squads getting absolutely trampled there, as we do have Eradicator Hexapod going to be moving forward. iLovemilfs going to be rolling up with kiMOsaBE just to help him do as much damage as possible. There's the Ion Cannon control firing off, going to be missing the majority of the targets. I'm not actually sure how many units in there are going to end up dying. Just a couple of cheap infantry and a Tib Trooper squad. Not a whole lot of value. Green Zero rolling in with the Hammerheads, going to be able to eliminate that MCV in record time, and also more and more Redeemers could be getting targeted down, but a alright EMP control center firing off for DeathSentence, hitting a couple of the Hammerheads from Green Zero. Not too big of a deal there. Going to be eliminating some of the power plants potentially, and even the Obelisk, but no, the Obelisk is going to be getting protected by that SAM turret. Somehow this Eradicator Hexapod, barely managing to survive the front lines, is going to be crawling backwards to heal itself. Another Redeemer does go down. A lot of them have gone down in this game, and it looks like if he can just hold off for another minute, Phoenix may have a nuke to fire off to help break the front line of their opponents. A couple of Zone Raiders going to be coming forward for Green Zero, getting themselves out of the situation. It looks like, well, Incapiza has been defeated, and it looks like it's just coming down to Phoenix and DeathSentence, and this is, of course, the point where 3 players versus 2, it's very hard to hold on in this situation, and it looks like DeathSentence actually cleaning up 2 or 3 of those behemoths, going to be slowing the advance of his opponents a little bit here, but can he actually hold on? My kind of thought is no, since these kind of scales have been tipped, as kiMOsaBE, with that base push, was just able to open the door and crack the code of the Southern team and really get the DPS down that they needed, get the foothold that they needed as well. Eradicator Hexapod is going to be able to escape. Maybe some of the Annihilator tripods won't be able to escape a little bit later, but for now the DPS is enough. This Redeemer is going to be getting targeted down, but another Mammoth Tank rather does get targeted, and there's going to be the teleport forward, blinking into the path of that Redeemer just to help finish it off and make sure that it cannot escape. There it goes down. DeathSentence without a real answer to this army that is coming in here, and on top of that, Shockwave Artillery adding insult to injury just to make sure that there is no way for that Redeemer to go down. Elite Marv is out on the field, and DeathSentence's Temple of Nod is going to be counting down. Now, is it actually going to be able to fire off? I should think not, but Phoenix does have an opportunity to fire off. I'm not actually sure where it's going to be hitting. This would be a pretty good target, but is that actually what he's going to be hitting? Yes! The answer is indeed yes. There's the teleport away, although the nuke had already impacted at that point. The Prodigy does actually survive just outside of the range of that. Oh, no, he doesn't actually die. The Venom doesn't have enough HP to survive that many Hammerheads with Zone Raiders inside of them. Another Tiberium Spike gets eliminated in this game. And there, whoa, wait a second. Nuclear missile, it's back here. That was a decoy one up at the front lines. I should have actually clicked. Wait, yeah, okay. That's DeathSentence. Oh, no, that wasn't. Wait, yes, it was, because Phoenix still has his. A little bit confusing trying to keep track of all of these guys. That combat engineer, was he actually teleported backwards? I mean, I guess he was. kiMOsaBE, I guess Phoenix is not, or not Phoenix, but Loveboat is not too happy of the fact that kiMOsaBE has a couple of his Annihilator tripods. That extra engineer not really doing anything for Loveboat. There's the teleport forward of that Eradicator Hexapod. I'm not exactly sure where it ended up going off, but there's another Ion Cannon control firing away, and the Spectre Artilleries are going to be getting cleaned up here. Unfortunately for them, they aren't going to be able to escape. Green Zero rolling forward with a fully heroic Marv with 4 Zone Raiders inside of it. That is a huge amount of DPS, an insane amount of DPS. that you do not normally see. DeathSentence has been defeated. It's all coming down to Phoenix, and somehow something tells me that he's not going to be able to make this one happen. More one-clicks firing off as the Tripod Eradicator Hexapod Hammerhead army is descending upon this one final stronghold for Phoenix. He's got over 5 minutes left on that nuke, and even that wouldn't be enough to stop the game in the north from really coming to a conclusion there. And there's the one-click firing off as Phoenix has been defeated. And that will do it for that game. My word, that was quite a long game. Pretty close to 40 minutes. I don't know if it was quite 40 minutes, but pretty darn close. It looks like it's just over 38 minutes in this match. A little bit of lag there, not too bad. I did have to lower some of the settings because I knew going into this 3v3 with over 4 megabytes in size, I was not going to force my computer to record all of that in 1080p, but at any rate, that will do it for that game. Of course, thank you all very much for watching. A ton of action, especially once the game started to get rolling and we got past the first couple of minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A ton of super weapons firing off as well. I'm kind of curious as to what the Tib harvested for each team was. Only 50,000 credits of difference, it looks like, over the course of that game. And kiMOsaBE, he was the clear front runner in that game as far as economy goes. Incapiza definitely lacking in the economy through the second half of that game. But that will do it for that game. Thank you all very much for watching. And this is sybert signing out.